हार नहीं होती, बिन मेहनत के फुलवारी कभी गुलजार नहीं होती। जो शेर जिगर ना हो तो कभी ललकार नहीं होती, हीरे को तराशे बिन उसमें चमकार नहीं होती। बिन प्रयासों के कुछ भी कभी हासिल नहीं होता, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। गिरते हैं शहसवार मैदान जंग में, वो तिफल ही क्या गिरे जो घुटनों के बल चले। ओ इरादे बुलंद जो ना हो अगर, तो फतह फिर कैसे मिले। कायर की कभी भी दुनिया में जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।
हाय एवरीवन, गुड इवनिंग, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब। वेलकम टू द आरडीडी शो। कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, और सच में जो कोशिश करते हैं उनकी कभी हार नहीं होती। और इंडिया की बात करें तो हमारा जो कल्चर है बहुत ही रिच है, और विदेशों में बहुत ही सराहा गया है। और हमारे बीच आज एक ऐसी ही पर्सनालिटी जुड़ने वाली है जो कि इंडियन कल्चर को प्रमोट करती है, और सच में हमारे लिए बहुत ही गौरव की अगर बात करें तो गेस्ट चुनने वाले हैं, जुड़ने वाले हैं। तो हम आज का जो टॉपिक है हमारा इंडियन कल्चर। तो जैसा कि आप सभी जानते हैं कि हमारा कल्चर बहुत ही रिच है। विदेश में इंडियन कल्चर को प्रमोट किया, हम उसके बारे में बात करेंगे। तो दोस्तों, मिलते हैं हमारे आज के गेस्ट से और जानते हैं इंडियन कल्चर के बारे में। हेलो, गुड इवनिंग मैम।
गुड इवनिंग।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
जी मैडम, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार, कैसे हैं
या
सर आप?
टुडे वी आर हैविंग, मैं अच्छा हूँ। आज हमारे साथ हैं प्रोफेसर कैरोलिन हाइजिंग, यूएसए से, अमेरिका से। और अगर हम उनकी बायोग्राफी अगर हम देखें तो सी इज द फर्स्ट वुमेन टू डू पीएचडी फ्रॉम स्टैनफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी इन मैकेनिकल न्यूक्लियर इंजीनियरिंग। जो क्षेत्र पुरुषों का समझा जाता था उसमें उन्होंने जो है मैकेनिकल न्यूक्लियर इंजीनियरिंग में पहली महिला पीएचडी जिन्होंने की है वो प्रोफेसर कैरोलिन हाइजिंग हैं। और आप उनके आगे का कैरियर देखें तो एमआईटी मैसाचुसेट्स इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी में वो असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर रही, जो वर्ल्ड का नंबर 1 इंस्टीट्यूट है इंजीनियरिंग का। उसके बाद आयोवा स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी में वो हैं एज प्रोफेसर। और अब आप देखिए उनका जो कैरियर शुरू होता है, एक अमेरिकन लेडी जो सैंटियागो में पैदा हुई, लॉस एंजलिस में पली बढ़ी, स्टैनफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी में पीएचडी किया, एमआईटी में पढ़ाया, आयोवा स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ा रही हैं। उनका भारतीय सनातन सभ्यता संस्कृति की तरफ कैसे रुझान हुआ, आप यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन हाउ
हम इन्हीं से ही जानना चाहेंगे। जी
जी, तो उनके इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम इंडिया, भारतवर्ष से उनके इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स थे। वहीं से उनके मन में साड़ी पहनने का मन में विचार हुआ, और वो लोग जो इंडियन स्टूडेंट थे वो इन्हें गिफ्ट देते थे नटराज मूर्ति की। नटराज मूर्ति से इन्हें भारतीय देवी देवताओं के विषय में जानने का एक आकर्षण पैदा हुआ। सैंटियागो के पास ही एंसिनेटस एक जगह है जहाँ परमहंस योगानंदा की कर्मस्थली है। आप सभी परिचित होंगे परमहंस योगानंद से, जो एक युवक, भारतीय युवक अमेरिका की धरती पर उतरा ईस्ट और वेस्ट को मिलाने के लिए। और वहीं पे वो, आप कल्पना नहीं कर सकते किस तरह से उन्होंने जब जर्नी आरंभ की भारतवर्ष से शिप में, और 6 महीने लगे उन्हें अमेरिका पहुंचने में। उन्हें अंग्रेजी नहीं आती थी और 6 महीने में उन्होंने अंग्रेजी सीखी परमहंस योगानंद से। और उस भूमि पे वो उतरे जहाँ पे कोई उनका परिचित नहीं था, और वहीं पे उन्होंने सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन फेलोशिप स्टार्ट की 1925। वो गुरु हैं कैरोलिन हाइजिंग के. And I'm asking from Carolyn Heising. Carolyn Heising, you tell us how you get affected by Indian culture and from which year you started thinking that there is a kind of a culture which is called Sanatan Dharma.
Okay, well, you mentioned that my guru is Paramahansa Yogananda, and I read his book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And in addition to that, I had so many Indian students from all over India in my classrooms. And I always noticed the Indian students were very hardworking and they had a good work ethic. And also, Indian students are very smart, very intelligent, hardworking, and they seem to be so motivated to succeed. And so it wasn't until 2010 that I visited India with my former student Akash Patel, and so that was my first trip to India. Subsequently, I met you, Dr. Ram, and we were in a conference on climate change in Gwalior in December 2010. But the overarching message I have is that, especially recently, is feel the bliss. And so my guru is bringing you Ananda bliss. He's Paramahansa Yogananda. So Ananda is a concept that comes out of India in the Vedic culture. And maybe that's the most important thing that comes out of Indian culture is feeling the bliss. Now, of course, you have wonderful food and you have beautiful artwork and incredible history. And so many philosophers and many scholars have said that India is the light of the world. But I remember Swami Vivekananda calling India the Tirtha. To me, India is the Tirtha. Every time I go to India, I have incredible experiences. And Dr. Ram and I have gone to the high Himalayas. We've been in Badrinath Temple. We were in Gangotri Temple many times. And, you know, the very special nature of the Ganga, the Himalayas especially. So I have to say that my beginning, you know, I didn't know much about India to start with, but thanks to my guru, I've been able to come to India so many times. Dr. Ram, you have any more?
Yeah, I see.
Do you want me to say something else or in addition?
Okay. Ji, am I audible, Carolyn?
Yes.
I have few more questions. From which year of your life you started thinking about India or Sanatan Dharma? Seriously.
That's a good question, but I think it began when I was in my 20s, when I was a student in San Diego and I walked into Guru's ashram and I didn't know what it was. Well, we knew him as Swami. We only had one Swami.
Yeah,
And
Swami काफी popular name है. And Cinetus में you have Swami's Beach, you have Swami's
there's
Cafe,
Swami Beach
and so many
Swami,
other.
there's so many Swami products now. There's Swami beer. We walked into a market recently and they're using Swami to, you know how American culture is one that's very materialistic. And so Swami's being used as a marketing tool. And you can get Swami ice cream and Swami this and that. So there's
And
Swami's
and
restaurants.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
Swami's Cafe.
Well, in America, people don't know what a Swami is. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, when I walked into his ashram, I just went in there and I felt the bliss. I can tell you, I felt very happy, joyful. It's a beautiful garden, it's on the ocean. And I kept going back to that garden and I kept feeling the bliss. And finally, I read his book. It took me a long time to read his book. I didn't read his book until I was 56 years old. And so
So
now I'm a
you,
Cleobon, but it took me a
yeah,
long
so you
time to
think that
even,
Indian
pardon me?
students help you, Indian students help you a lot in your journey towards India?
Oh, yes. Now, the Indian students I had would go back to India and bring me back Shiva, Shiva Nataraj. They would give me gifts. Sometimes they might present me with a sari or some item of clothing, or they might give me a statue of Ganesha. I have one here.
Wow.
Indian students love Ganesh. You know, the first thing they do, one time they came to America and they made a Ganesh out of snow. And the American students don't know who is Ganesh. And, he's so cute. He's a beautiful figure. And so everyone is loving Ganesha. And my Indian students taught me about these different gods and goddesses. But, a lot of them would bring me a Shiva Nataraj. I had so many Shiva Nataraj in my office. And it wasn't until I got to India that I understood who Lord Shiva is. Because of being in Rishikesh and going with all those devotees in Shivratri, and they're going bum bum bowl. They say bum
Oh,
bum bowl, and I wondered what the heck are they saying? They're screaming this bum bum bowl, bum bum bowl. So I finally understood what it was, and now I do believe that I'm primarily a Shivite because Lord Shiva is the Lord of the yogis. But on the other hand, I love Lord Krishna because Lord Krishna is a beautiful figure and goes back to the ancient culture that you see in Dwarka in Gujarat. And so my son and I are studying the ancient history of Krishna, and we're also studying the basic element of meditation and the breath, in breath and the out breath. And so as I get older, we're going
Yeah.
deeper into all of this, all of the ancient history of India. And Dr. Ram and I have a Facebook group called Ancient Vedic India. How many members? 50,000 people. We have so many people on the Ancient Vedic India website. We're studying Harappa, we're studying Mohenjo-daro, studying all of these ancient sites of Indian
oh, wow.
culture. And we found out that in Harappa in Mohenjo-daro they had a seal with Lord Shiva on it in a yogic pose. So we know that yoga is a very ancient philosophy and practice. I think it goes back before the flood, and it could be 20, 30,000 years old. It's extremely
Yeah,
old.
I have one more question. From in your youth, have you ever imagined that you will go to India, you will go to Badrinath, or you will go to Gangotri, you will bathe in Ganges? Have you ever dreamed in your youth
I
when
didn't
you are
know that there
studying?
was Badrinath, Dr. Ram, until I came to India and found out about the Chardham. I did not know about Badrinath or Gangotri or Yamunotri or any Kedarnath or any of the high temples. Not until I came to Rishikesh.
So,
I
which
never
part
learned
of
about that in
which part of
America.
your life is more important? Your Earlier life before the age of 50 or after the age of 50, you think your life is
That's a good question because I'm
more
turning
fruitful?
70. I will be 70 in 2 weeks, and I know I'm in the ashrama, the most important ashrama, which is to become a sadhu. You know, you to be giving up everything. You know, I've been in Vanaprastha for 20 years, between the
So
age of 50 to
I have
70.
asked you a question. Which part of your life is you think is complete or fruitful, before the age of 50 or after the age of 50?
After the age of 50, because that's more important. The most important thing you can do is to develop ananda bliss in your life.
So today people are running
And
behind the
that
money,
bliss is
and
coming from
today people are running behind the money, and they
money
are
is
becoming
good to
more and
have,
more
you know, you
materialistic.
can.
People are becoming more and more materialistic. So you have any message for
Oh,
that, for
I
such
know
people?
that. That's true, but um you don't need to have a lot of money to find ananda bliss. You just need to practice yoga and practice meditation. And in India, just go to any temple. If you go to a temple and you hear those mantras, the Sanskrit mantras, oh my God, they
You
will take you to a high
can you
level.
recite few of them? You remember? Can you recite few of the mantras?
Well, I don't know all of those Sanskrit mantras that go on forever,
But you
are
can recite Om Namah
extremely.
Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, of course. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and of course, all of those. Om Namo Namah.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah.
Yes, you
So you
are
think,
reciting mantras, but we can go on YouTube. If you're a young person, go on YouTube and you can find all the mantras and you can sit there and listen to the Sanskrit mantras. Recently, Anushka Shankar, who is a very famous Indian, who her father was Ravi Shankar, and she's a very famous sitar player, and I'm connected to her Facebook page. And she has beautiful music she's produced recently. And when I listen to the ragas that she performs, that brings me to such a high level. I can feel the bliss. So everything in Indian culture is set up for you to feel the bliss. I mean, you might as well call
but
India Ananda. I'd
but
rather
the thing
call
is
India
that
Ananda. Hmm?
Indian people are running behind this materialistic race, and they are
Well,
trying to
they
become
need to
more
slow down a bit.
modernized or westernized.
Of course, Guru saw that in America, and his comment to Americans were, "You don't know how to go to sleep at night because you're worrying about your bills. All you worry about is your money." So Paramahansa Yogananda told Americans to slow down and meditate and do yoga, and he
But
was
here,
right.
but
What?
here in India, the race has just begun. The same race has begun in India. People are
Yes.
becoming more modernized, westernized, or Americanized. So, have you any message for them?
Well, maybe we in America will bring yoga back to India, but I think India has plenty of beautiful places. You have so many places to go on yatra. You know, just go in
Yes.
the Himalayas, or even in Gujarat, you can go to Dwarka, or in the south of India, there's so many beautiful temples all over India, in the East India, in Calcutta, and there's enormous numbers of temples. And so you are the luckiest people on earth.
Yeah, we
I
are,
mean,
but the thing is that we are not comprehending or appreciating these things. We are becoming mad after the money, and we are in this rat race of money. Another thing is that you have
yeah, I
visited
know.
India, and one of our friend from California, his name is Casey Hughes. I asked him the question when he
Oh,
visited
Casey.
India. Yeah,
Well, I
I
just
asked him
wanted to tell you
how
that
you
he
liked
went to.
Bharat or India, and his question was, I have not seen any Bharat. I am seeing America here. That is 50 years back. So we people are
Well,
just following you. We are leaving our culture. We are eating pizza,
Casey,
burger.
you mentioned Casey, and he was in Varanasi a few months ago, and he came
Hmm.
back to America. He's wearing these wooden shoes that the Swami Vivekananda walked in. Swami Vivekananda walked all across India 2 or 3 times in those wooden shoes. And Casey was wearing those wooden shoes. And one of my friends said, where did he get those? And I said, well, he got them in India, probably in Varanasi.
Hmm.
And so some of us who um, traveled to India were picking up on the very ancient customs. And Casey's wearing those wooden shoes, and everyone's going, why is he wearing those? And I said, well, it's because it's helping his practice. It's tapas. I think I learned the concept of tapas from you, Dr. Ram, because one time we were in Nilkant Mahadev temple above Rishikesh, and it was cold. And you told me, take your shoes off. And I had to walk barefoot on the cold marble in the temple. And that's when I learned what tapas is. So, yes, you can get more bliss if you practice tapas first. Then you know when you're in bliss because you've experienced tapas. So I think that tapas is important, and Americans don't know what that is at all.
So
So my
my
second
next
thing
question
is,
is, have you any message for the youth of India? Any message for them?
oh yes, the youth of India are the ones who will solve all the world problems. We always tell the Indian students are so smart. The young people of India will solve all the problems. And I know they will because they're already doing it.
Any
And
more
the
message?
reason,
Don't give up the culture or eating their eating habits.
well, the reason the Indian students will solve all their problems are their grandmothers. Their grandmothers instructed them so well that they know they will solve the problems. Their grandmothers and their mothers talk to them on Skype, and they talk to them every night. When my Indian students are here in America, their mother's on Skype with them every night. Then, when I went to India, I met all the grandmothers, and the grandmothers are cooking very healthy food. They go to the market, they buy the vegetables, and they're making healthy food every night. I know the young Indians want to eat at KFC, they want Pepsi Cola and all that. That's okay, you can try it, but go back to your grandmother. Your grandmother knows how to keep you healthy. So that's why Indian students will solve all the problems because the grandparents are so impressive. When I met the parents, those parents are also very impressive, but the grandparents still retain the culture. They go to yoga in the morning. The older Indians are still going to temples and they are practicing. So the grandparents know the answers, and the young students of India respect their grandparents, and I know they do. Every single Indian student I ever had respects their grandmother, they respect their grandfather, and they know the culture. They do. The young Indians do know the culture, even if they're going to KFC and they're going to McDonald's. They still, underneath it all, they know the culture. I
But
because I
there,
remember. Hmm?
the thing is that Caroline, you have very well realized there is a great difference between pilgrimage and party animals. You know, party animals going to
Oh,
a party
well, yeah, we
and
saw
going
them
to
up
a
from
pilgrimage.
Delhi, the young Delhi boys who come. It's mainly Delhi boys. They have a lot of money and they go to Rishikesh, and now they're doing all the sports. which is okay. I don't mind them doing the sports, but you're right. Being a party animal might not be good, but let them try it. You know, I think they should try it and then find out it's not helping. Being a party animal does not bring you bliss. But if you go to the ashrams in Rishikesh, look at all of those ashrams. Swami Shivananda has an incredible ashram. Parmarth Nikitan. My God, those are incredible places. And you sit next to the Ganges. What's better than jumping into the Ganges? Let the young Delhi boys learn that. So let them come. They'll come. They're going to do whitewater rafting. They're rafting on the Ganges. They're doing all kinds of things up there. But eventually maybe they'll fall into the Ganges from the raft, and some of them will have an experience of bliss. And then they will realize what their grandmother was telling them. You know, there was one grandmother I met in Noida, and
I have next question. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one more question.
Okay,
When you
Dr.
visited
Ram.
Rishikesh, and first time you remember you were with me on the Lakshman Jhula, how you felt the bliss there? It was the
Oh,
time of
yes.
night.
Well, I looked up toward the Himalayas and I had this experience that I had been there before. But many of my Indian students were telling me, you're an Indian. You were an Indian in your past life. So, yeah, I think I was from that area. I think I am from the state of Uttarakhand. And specifically, I had a past life in Almora, near Babaji's cave.
When you have taken the
Sorry?
dip in Ganges, what was your experience?
The Ganges was glorious. It brings you bliss by just looking at it. And when you go in the rainy season, I kind of like the rainy season because Ganges gets huge. Ma Ganga gets to be a huge river. And it was flooding. It did flood Rishikesh one time when I was there. But it's an enormous force of nature. And so, yes, Ganges by itself, if you just go to the Ganges and look at it, if you go into the Ganges and you put your feet in and you dip, you take a bath, well, that's very powerful experience. But you can also
Yeah,
just look at it and hear it.
I have one more question. What are the
Yeah.
important or positive things the youth of India should take from America, or what are the negative things they shouldn't take from the westernized world?
What should East learn from the
What,
West?
what, what are the important things that the youth of India should learn from American people?
Well, they can look at us and we have a high level of technology. And Indian students love technology. They're very good at cell phones and all of the computers. And so that's great. They can do that. But you know what? I like to use my cell phone to tune in on Guru. Guru has his own channel. He has his own YouTube. He has many Facebook pages. By the way, all the gurus do. All the gurus have
They
it,
should,
and all the ashrams have
they
it. So why
should
not
also
use
try
it
to
to
learn
use technology?
sincerity.
What?
They
What
should
did you
also
say?
turn to learn sincerity, punctuality, faithfulness.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you know, Indians are hard workers, so they already do all that. I think they're very punctual. My Indian
What you have to
friends are
say
very
about the
punctual.
honking of the cars here in India, honking of cars.
Oh, well, that's true, but you know, it's partly because of someone like my driver, Sahadev. You know him. He's a powerful young man. You know, he's strong. He wants to honk his horn. It's okay with me. I know they honk their horns in India, but once after I've been there, I get used to it. I understand that the young men of India are out there driving. Mostly it's young men. And young men want to drive fast and they want to make an impression. So I really don't care that they're honking their horns. I've thought about it, Dr. Maybe since you and I talked last, but I thought,
we
I have
together we
two
together
sons, and my
have
sons are like that.
we together have delivered so many lectures offline and online in several universities in India and United States. So you think that we have done something inspirational for the youth, or
Look,
uh,
India
at all?
has produced so many brilliant people in science and engineering. Indians have a special mind for science and engineering because I think the yogis were the first scientists. And you mentioned Ayurveda. The Ayurveda system is very advanced. So everything about India is a very brilliant culture. Extremely, Indian people are very smart. Every Indian I've ever met, including people from the village and everyone else, they're very smart. You have brain power. And so, you're taking over in many of the companies. When Indians come to America, they rise to the top. They become a CEO right away. These are very smart Indians. One of my Indian students, he just had twins. He's Dr. Ankit Singhal he's from Jaipur, India. I went to his wedding. He just had two twin boys. His parents came from Jaipur. They're with him in the state of Washington. He's in a national laboratory. I expect he'll rise up very fast. He's very, very smart. He went to IIT Delhi. And all the Indian students I ever saw were so smart.
So when you
they're
started
intelligent.
coming to India, and now in the
Well,
corona time you are not coming, are you missing India, or what do
well,
you
that's
think
why I
that your
finally asked
collaborators here in India,
Yogananda.
what do you have to say?
I had not been to India because I had not the opportunity until I was 50, almost 58 years old. And I asked Guru, and he said, "When you are ready, I will send you." Well, then he started sending me all the time. All of a sudden, I was in India all the time. You and I have been all over the place, and we keep getting invitations to go to different universities and speak and all of those things, and we've been all over the place in India. So once my guru thought I would, what it took, I had to take the lessons from SRF. Then I became a kriyaban. I became a yogi myself, a beginning yogi. I'm not like my guru, but eventually he started sending me. And I kept saying, I'm not the one doing this. Where are these invitations coming from? Then I realized my guru, he's the one doing all of this stuff. And I keep meeting Indians who are devotees of Yogananda. One person came on, he's a doctor in Kochi in southern India. And he has written a book lately about his near-death experience. He's a devotee of Yogananda, and he had a miracle just like I had my miracle. And I've been communicating with quite a few Indians on Facebook and through Messenger. We're using all the apps we can. For the young Indians, why don't you make an app for yoga? How about one of you young Indians out there, you make an app to promote Indian culture? There are already many apps, but you can figure it out. I would love to
Actually,
see.
at present, we Indians have
What?
so many problems, like we are losing the nature very fast. Ganges is also on the verge of disappearing. We have so much of pollution. We have all
Yeah,
sorts
but
of
that's why
problems we are facing.
Your young Indians will solve all those problems. One time you and I were on a webinar, and one of the Indian students, she suggested some brilliant ideas for solving those environmental problems. So I have no problem. I believe the young Indians will solve all of the problems, not just in India, but they're going to solve all the problems in the entire world.
I have one more
Because
question.
they're the smartest people. They're the smartest
At
people we have. What?
this year you have a death experience and you got a massive heart attack. And can you tell us this mystery? Then you said that you were for 3 days at Jal Mahal in Jaipur. So can you tell us how you experienced, how you
Which
recognized that
experience?
that was Jal Mahal?
You
Yeah,
mean
you
my
got a
near
massive
death
heart attack.
experience?
Yes.
Well, that's a hard thing to communicate. But yes, I had a very strong experience of bliss, of Ananda bliss, during my recent health challenge. And so I went into Master's Garden and I asked him, why did you bring me back? Because now I'm in my body. I almost died. I had a cardiac arrest. And during that time, I was in a coma. I was having bliss experience. I was having visions. I was in the Jal Mahal in Jaipur. I was in this beautiful palace. But I was brought back to this life. So I asked Guru, why did you bring me back? And he said, spread the bliss. I had a strong communication that he wants me to spread the bliss. So that's why I'm here on this
Can you tell
show,
us
to spread the
about
bliss.
our Universal Peace Institute?
Yeah, well, we're trying to spread the bliss in our Universal Peace Institute. We have been doing that before I had this experience, but now I know the focus of it. The focus is on Ananda. Before my experience with the near death, the focus was on ahimsa, nonviolent conflict resolution for world peace. And we were focusing on peace, world peace. But now the focus is on inner peace. The focus is in on spreading the bliss. And so, as I enter my 70th year, I'm in the end of my life. That's what gurus tell me to do, spread the bliss. And so we can all spread the bliss. India has some very nice sugary, what is that sugary candy, Dr. Ram, that looks orange? You might eat some of that sugary candy. That will remind you of the bliss. Do you know what, Dr. Ram, what I'm talking about? Well, anyway, hello? Hello, okay. I'm just recommending
Yes, yes.
people, the young people, to, they can spread the bliss too. All the young people in India are very computer literate, so you all can make new apps. Work on new apps. You will succeed in everything you do because you're very hardworking. You're so motivated that there were no other competitors. The closest that came to India was China, but Chinese students are not as motivated as Indians. And I found out why, because Indian mothers call the students every night. And they're saying, are you doing your homework? Are you working hard? And the Indian students listen to their mothers and grandparents. Now, I don't know in China, I don't think the Chinese students are getting that kind of guidance from their parents. So that's what made the Chinese students not quite as smart. So, Dr. Ram, what is that?
You have any message?
What? What?
What? Can you repeat?
I asked you,
Repeat
what's
what you
the
asked.
candy that, is it called, it starts with a J. So candy that you eat that's very sweet. It's colored orange and it looks like a pretzel. Anyway, that came to mind as an example of bliss that Indian
Am I
students
audible?
can. What?
I audible?
That Indian
Hello.
students can eat something sweet that their grandmothers make, a dessert or something that they can a julep. Is it called a julep? Anyway, that's what I thought of. I thought of an Indian sweet, and when you
Hello.
bite into that Indian sweet, you feel very happy and joyful. That's an example of spreading the bliss.
Actually,
I
actually,
like
I tell you, Carolyn, during this global age, we Indians are losing our culture very fast, and our youth
well,
they are making the ideals that they should go to America. They
I
will do
don't
the
believe
job
that
there.
because Dr.
You have
Rams,
to
I
believe
really don't believe you're losing your
you
culture
visited
because
India so many times, and you have felt it. So many street youths you have met. So many types of party animals. They are dancing,
I know
making
that,
noise the whole night.
but the Indian students have such good grandparents. They're never going to lose their culture.
The grandparents are disappearing, man.
Well,
It is our
yes and no
we
there.
we cannot rely on their soldiers now. We should need more Vivekananda. We should need more Paramahansa Yogananda now. We cannot just rely that our grandparents will guide us. We have to
Yeah,
become Swami Vivekananda ourselves. We have to take that beacon of light
but
within
Dr. Ram,
ourselves.
my
Yeah.
student Ankit Singhal, he came to America and was involved in the Hindu Yuga on every campus, on every engineering campus. He started Hindu Yuga with Swami Vivekananda as the real guru face. And I was involved with Hindu Yuga, and they did so much stuff at my university. They were teaching American students about Swami Vivekananda. And these were very, very strong engineering students. They were from IIT Delhi, from IIT Mumbai. They were the smartest Indian students you could find. They were spreading the bliss, they were spreading knowledge, wisdom, and they are still doing that. So that Hindu Yuva group is amazing. And I saw the best of the best Indian students. I have to agree, but they're so smart. They're going to solve all the problems. There's no question in my mind. They'll figure
You,
out everything.
my next question is that you have met so many Indians. Can you name few of them who inspired you very much?
Well, of course, you, Dr. Ram Sharma, is the first one. Your story, you came out of Salawa village. You are a powerhouse. And I was looking for people like that because I had been at BITS Palani. And
Ex- Actually,
Palani
I
is
am
really,
in a learning process, ma'am. I am not. I'm trying to become like that, but I'm just like a drop in the whole ocean of spirituality. And
Mr. Burla. You know Mr. Burla who started BITS Palani. He came from a village called Palani. I was there. Look, he is an incredible example, but you're another person like that. You came from your village. You are doing all kinds of things. I think the people in the Indian village are the smartest people in India. And you're going to see that in the next 50 years. All of these brilliant Indians coming out of the village. One thing up in the villages in Rishikesh, up in the Himalayas, these people are so physically strong. These ladies are carrying things on their head and they're balancing going down very narrow hills. They're physically strong. And so not only are they very intelligent, they're physically strong. So I think Indians are going to solve all the world problems, and they already are. Your leaders in the IT fields, engineering, science, what more? And then you're in poetry. in books and writing. So India is emerging as this incredible world leader in every way. So that's why I'm telling you, I'm not so worried about so-called Indian youth getting too westernized. I think the Indian students know their culture. They know who Swami Vivekananda is for certain.
My very important question is that you Americans, you started your life as Christian, you enjoyed all the materialism, and we have also say many friends from Los Angeles or California. They are changing their names. Some of them have changed their names like Ganganath, or just like you call yourself that you are a goddess from India. So what is the passion they are trying to live this Sanatan Dharma, or they want to follow this Sanatan Dharma of India, or they want to be like sages or saints. And we have one more friend from MIT, and he has changed his name to Baba Nataraja. So, can you explain what is this movement of Americans can be called?
Well, you're talking about American Veda, is that right?
Yeah, American
About the
Veda and the
history of.
American people are being affected by the Indian culture.
Well, of course. Vivekananda came here in 1893. Then Yogananda came in 1920. Since that time, so many Indian gurus have come here. Osho. Osho's one of your favorites. But there's many others. There's the Hugging Saint. From
Yeah.
She's from Kerala, and I've had her darshan many times. The Hare Krishna movement came here. They have many Hare Krishna temples, not to mention Akshardham people. The Akshardham temple in Delhi. Those people, Swami Narayan people, they have come here and they're building all these gigantic temples, right? So India started sending all of these different organizations and gurus here, and they're all building temples right and left. There's so
Actually,
many
the
temples. Pardon?
I have visited United States so many times, and I have studied the society from there. So I'm able to feel the change here in Indian society. I am feeling that the people they are having their identity with big cars, big houses, and the same feeling is coming here in India. People are here running more and more behind the money. All the time they are talking
Well,
about the money, and they have
you
become like
know,
program robots, and they are doing all types of corruptions. They are involved in all types of corruptions. So
but
I want a message. I want a message from you, from a lady from America, a land of materialism. Can you differentiate what is the difference between a life of materialism and a life of spiritualism?
um, I really don't think there's a lot of difference. I think that's a matter of educating both groups, East and West. I do think there's cultural difference, but at the human level, we're all the same. We're all one humanity
That is
and
okay.
one family.
I am talking
What?
about the egos of big cars, big houses.
Well, true. But India's always had the ruling class. The Maharajas and all of them had huge palaces. So you can't say that India isn't familiar with great wealth.
But here we have Lord Buddha, who has left his kingdom, his princes, and he left everything and he became a sadhu.
Yes, well, that's of course that's the basic Vedic path. But here in America, I think it works out well. Like with me, I'm retired. When you are in Vanaprastha, you're retired. You can go to the forest.
I have a question for youth of India to inspire them. When you are at the Stanford University and you are doing PhD, can you tell us your difficulties or experiences, your struggles there
When
when
I
you are
was at
doing
Stanford,
pursuing when you are pursuing your PhD in mechanical nuclear engineering as a lady? Can you tell us
well,
your
then
difficulties?
I was in that early brahmacharya stage where you're a student and you're working very hard to get your PhD. I was no different than any other student working for a PhD. And Indian students are very focused on those things, more so than Americans are, I think. So they're more serious students. But for my own life, I was very serious when I was young doing all that. But when I think I hit that year of being 50 years old, when I did enter Vanaprastha in the Vedic system, that's when uh, all of these spiritual elements started to hit home for me, you know. So I think it's a matter of your age. I think when you're young, you're focused on that brahmacharya phase, then you're a householder, you get married, you have kids, and then you're more focused on material things like having a house and all that. But as you get older, that's why I'm saying the grandparents of India, they're the older generation. They know how important it is to have a spiritual practice as you get older. And that's
We,
the
we
brilliance. Hmm?
We both are running Universal Peace Institute in USA and in India, and we are encouraging the people from India to visit United States or the people from United States to visit India, and we want to have a kind of a cultural exchange of the American culture or the Bharatvarsh culture or Indian culture, so that people can
Yes.
mix and they can take the good quality of from each culture. No culture is bad or every culture has some good points and have some, I think, shortcomings too, but it is our purpose to organize a kind of academic tour to USA, and the people from USA, they also come here and they come to us, they meet me and
Well,
you,
yeah,
you
right now COVID prevents travel. COVID, the COVID epidemic or pandemic has slowed travel, but hopefully that will change and we'll be back traveling again. Because you're right, when we have cultural exchange, when the Indian students come to America and Americans come to India, that's when you learn. You're going to learn the most when you travel. So, yes, hopefully we continue to have exchanges. We welcome all Indian students to come to America in the universities. We're happy to
Ca-
have you since you're the
Carolyn,
best students.
can you tell us about your family background, your father, your mother, your sisters and your cousins, your niece?
Oh, my niece is a top executive in Netflix company. And I really like Netflix because Netflix has so many programs from all over the world. So that's another way you can learn about another culture is to watch the movies. You watch the TV or the movies from a
You can tell us
particular.
about your sisters, your sisters. You are
My
four sisters.
sisters, I
Yeah.
have three sisters. Yeah, and one of them was in IBM, and she's now in a high tech company. She's a manager. So yes, my sisters have all had different careers. I have a younger sister. She was also a mechanical engineer. And then I have a niece who went to MIT. She just graduated with her master's degree in mechanical engineering.
So, can you tell us about your father?
My father was a Navy commander. in the U.S. Navy. He did not know much about India. My parents did not know much about India. But that's changing in my generation. It began to change that in America, many Americans became involved in yoga in my generation, and that's in the book American Veda. So my generation, which was born in the 1950s, we're called the baby boomers. We really respect India, and we practice yoga. Many of us practice yoga. I have a sister. My sister Becky does all the asanas. She's involved with the hatha yoga. And I'm involved more with the Raja yoga, with meditation. So yes, Americans in my generation started to go to India. We were able to go by flying there, and many Americans are flying to India to visit, to tour. So yes, there is a cultural exchange between the two countries. Hmm?
Any more thing you would like to share with us? Which place of India you like most?
Well, of course, Uttarakhand is my favorite state.
And what is your favorite
And
dish? Favorite
but
Indian
that
dish?
again is a very interesting thing because I was drawn there. I did not go to Uttarakhand. The very first place I flew into Mumbai in Maharashtra. And my student Akash Patel was from Nasik. So the very first city I was in was Nasik, but Nasik is one of the 4 Kumbh Mela cities. So his grandmother took me all over Nasik. I was in all the Shiva temples. His grandmother knew everything about the religious practice in Nasik. My Indian student, he went to the mall. He was 18 years old. He went with his friends. They all go to Nestle's for chocolate cake. Then they're in the movie theater. They took me to see a Bollywood movie. But his grandmother was the one who took me to all the real places, to down to the Ghat, into the Shiva temples. So that's when I first realized the grandmothers were the ones. And I went to her yoga classes in the morning, and we did laughing yoga. We did all kinds of things. So where's my favorite part of India? Well, of course, it's Rishikesh, and it's in the
What
Himalayas.
what what is
But
what is your favorite dish? Favorite Indian dish?
favorite Indian feast? Well, we just
Dish
had
dish
one.
dish.
You
Dish.
know, I like you. I like the jeera rice. I like the dal, the yellow dal padka, right? And we have, but I'm also eating the vegetables. And when I'm in Rishikesh, we always have Himalayan rice. We have the red Himalayan rice that the village people eat. And Mama says, "Why aren't you eating basmati rice?" I said, "Because I want the village food." So if you ask me, maybe the best food I have had was in the Himalayan village. Not to mention your wife cooks very well and your mother. So, of course, the home cooked meals are the best. The best Indian food I had was in the homes of Indians. Their grandmothers and mothers are cooking. Every day they go and they get the vegetables, they chop the vegetables. And another good cook was Seema Johar in Dehradun. Remember her? She's an incredible cook, and she's very close to Swami Ramdev, the very famous Swami Ramdev. So you and I met Swami Ramdev. What a powerhouse he is, and what an honor to meet him. We met him in his ashram in Haridwar. So Swami Ramdev is he's remarkable. And my student Omesh Johar was from Dehradun, and his parents are devotees of Ramdev. And of course, on their Facebook page, his father's Facebook page is dedicated to Swami Ramdev. So Indians are using Facebook and Twitter to continue to spread the light of India, the Ananda bliss. And I think it's wonderful that Indians are so smart. They're running all kinds of companies. They're running computer companies, engineering companies. They're going to solve all the problems. I'm not worried. I would love to drop my body in the Himalayas. To be honest, I want to go to Gangotri. I would love to go to Gangotri and drop my body there, but I'm not sure how that will work. In any event, it's been a pleasure to share with you. And, everything goes back to my guru because he's doing everything. And he, without my
That is
guru,
okay,
I'd be nothing.
but
Nothing. I
before
say I'm
that
a simple cello.
you have a mission to. Before that, you have still unaccomplished mission.
Well, that's what you're telling me, that I need to complete a mission, but Guru is telling me to spread the bliss. That is a mission. A mission can be to spread those concepts of ahimsa. But remember, we're doing so much work in Facebook. We have all these groups. We have Ancient Vedic India group. We're learning so much about ancient Vedic
I
India.
request that you invite the people from India and they can join us. And I say that you also invite the host of this program.
Yeah, I mean, we have many different Facebook groups. Ancient Vedic India is an incredible one where we're sharing all the information about all the discoveries.
Yeah, that is a mission. Yeah, that is okay. But cultural exchange,
Universal Peace Institute
meeting of East and West was also the mission of.
Pardon me, Dr. Ram, I missed that question. Dr. Ram? He froze up.
Yeah, it is our also duty to have a cultural exchange meeting of East with West. So you also invite the host of this program and other people to come to US.
She's certainly invited.
You personally invite them.
Everyone is invited. Yeah, look, she's sharing the bliss. Obviously, she's working on her show here online. She's spreading the bliss and she's spreading Indian culture and information.
You invite them personally.
Yes, you're invited. As soon as the pandemic gets better, you can always come to Encinitas to the Swami's gardens in his ashram.
You also invite from your side the people of India. You also invite the people of India to come to United
as
States.
I mentioned, we invite
the students also.
All of the Indian students to come to
as you are
America to study.
The brand ambassador of your university.
Yes, we used to do that when I was teaching. We would always invite all Indian students to apply to our university, and there's many American universities to apply to. You go on the computer now. You fill out your admissions on the computer websites. And so we have many Indian students in America, more and more.
आज हमारे सामने थी प्रोफेसर कैरोलिन हाइजिंग जो मैकेनिकल न्यूक्लियर इंजीनियरिंग की प्रोफेसर हैं.
Okay.
That is also our mission. तो हमारे सामने कैरोलिन हाइजिंग थी जो एक.
Pardon?
And they can also contact us, both of us. They can contact both of us through email or WhatsApp. Or,
yes.
We are always available to guide. इंजीनियरिंग की प्रोफेसर हैं. उनकी मदर सेंट क्रिश्चियन परिवार में हुई. उनके नेवल कमांडर थे. नेवल कमांडर थे. उसके बाद वो आयोवा स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी गई. तो भारतीय स्टूडेंट्स ने किस तरह से उनके जीवन में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई, उन्हें मूर्तियां गणेश, नटराज और लॉर्ड शिवा की जो मिलने लगी उनके अंदर एक प्रेरणा उत्पन्न हुई। और उसके बाद वो परमहंस योगानंद का जो आश्रम है सीनीडस में, वहाँ पे गए,
Yeah, the other
उसे
thing I should mention
ने
is
अपना गुरु
that
बनाया।
in India, there's the Yagoda Satsang Society, YSS, which is the Yogananda's organization in India. This year, we're having an online convocation first week of August. So you can go online and just put in Yogananda convocation, and it's free of cost. There's no cost. Anyone can come online, and it's a wonderful experience. And Guru was in many parts of India because his father was a railroad executive, and he has major headquarters in Calcutta, but also in Ranchi, Bihar. Ranchi, Bihar is his original location. And so many places in India, including in Varanasi, there are, YSS ashrams. There's the YSS ashram in Noida. So you can find out all about that online.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn Heising. We will certainly organize one more second series of program to invite you again. हम पुनः
Okay.
चाहेंगे कि कैरोलिन हाइजिंग पुनः अगले दूसरे अंक में
Thank
इस
you.
कार्यक्रम के उपस्थित हों और हम इसी तरह से उनसे कुछ और डीप
Okay.
मिस्टीरियस क्वेश्चंस पूछें। और
Yes,
वो
definitely, sir.
जी, तो आज हमारे साथ थी प्रोफेसर
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And
Thank
जी
you, Danyaban. Thank you,
जी
Pranam.
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for
Danyaban.
giving me. Dhanyavad.
Okay.
तो
Yes, it
कैरोलिन
was a
हाइजिंग
great experience with you. Thank you so much, sir.
दो तीन चीजें और बताना चाहूंगा। एक तो
जी
पहली
जी
स्त्री हैं, लेडी हैं, जिन्होंने स्टैनफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी से मैकेनिकल न्यूक्लियर इंजीनियरिंग में पीएचडी की। उसके बाद वो असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर बनी मैसेच्यूसेट्स इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी में, वहाँ भी वो प्रथम है। फिर वो आयोवा स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रोफेसर, फुल फ्लैश प्रोफेसर वो कार्य कर रही हैं। और भारतवर्ष में करीब 40 से 45 बार यात्रा कर चुकी हैं, बद्रीनाथ, केदारनाथ, गंगोत्री, और जो गंगा से उन्हें बेहद लगाव है। भारतीय भोजन का उन्हें विशेष प्रेम है। भारतीय सभ्यता सर्वोपरि मानती हैं और हमेशा उनका ये प्रयास रहता है कि हम जो भारतीय यूथ है वो अपनी सभ्यता संस्कृति को ना छोड़े, वो उस पर बना रहे, उसका पालन करे। वो भारतीय स्टूडेंट्स को ज़्यादा अच्छा मानती हैं, बाकी देश के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनसे ज़्यादा अच्छा। एक और प्रश्न उन्होंने उसका जवाब इसी अंक में दिया है कि चाइनीज स्टूडेंट भी इतने ब्रिलियंट नहीं है जितने इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स हैं। तो हमें अपनी इंडियननेस नहीं छोड़नी है, मॉडर्न होते हुए भी हमारे अपनी इंडियननेस बनाए रखनी है। अमेरिका से हमें पंक्चुअलिटी, सिंसेरिटी, डेडिकेशन ये सब सीखना होगा और भारतीयों से अपनी भारतीयता और सनातन सभ्यता को साथ लेकर चलते हुए अगर हम अपने जीवन में एक बैलेंस बनाएंगे तभी हम एक विश्व गुरु भारत बनने का एक सपना देख पाएंगे। और मैं आग्रह करूंगा होस्ट ऑफ दिस प्रोग्राम रीड्स डैरल से कि वो इसी तरह मैडम के साथ एक दो प्रोग्राम और करें जिससे हम इनके विषय में और
yes, डेफिनेटली सर, क्योंकि मेरे भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे जो कि मैंने मैम से नहीं पूछे हैं। आज टाइम की कमी है, लेकिन नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं मैम को इनवाइट करना चाहूंगी शो में। और थैंक यू सो मच सर, आपने जो आप इतना अच्छा काम कर रहे हो। एंड थैंक यू सो मच मैम, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर प्रमोटिंग आवर कल्चर, इंडियन कल्चर। थैंक यू सो मच, इट वाज अ ग्रेट एक्सपीरियंस।
धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद मैम। प्रणाम मैम, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू सो मच। आप बहुत ही अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, सच में बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। लेकिन नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं फिर से इनवाइट करना चाहूंगी क्योंकि मेरे भी क्वेश्चंस थे मैम के लिए। कोई बात नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम हम करेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच सर, आपने अपना कीमती टाइम हमें दिया, बहुत ही अच्छा लगा सर। थैंक यू सो मच।
जी मैम, थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू, नमस्कार,
थैंक यू, गुड नाइट। थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन। और इसी तरह से देखते रहिए द आरडीडी शो, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। गुड नाइट, शुभ रात्रि, शब बखैर।
तूफान से टकराए बिन मेहनत के फुलवारी कभी गुलजार नहीं होती। जो शेर जिगर ना हो तो कभी ललकार नहीं होती। हीरे को तराशे बिन उसमें चमकार नहीं होती। बिन प्रयासों के कुछ भी कभी हासिल नहीं होता। कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।